The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
We are going to move on here. Something I've been looking forward to for way too long. Brandon, let's get some early season overreactions in because that's now what's up to bat. Do you have any steaming hot takes that you feel need to be made?
I'm going to defer to you here first. I would like to hear your steaming hot take first.
I'm trying to decide really hard which one to go with here.
Oh, he has a few lined up.
I have a couple.
You guys hear this? He's got them lined up, and he's thinking.
I'm trying to decide whether I want to piss off Brandon first.
How can I annoy Brandon the most? How can I annoy Brandon the most?
All right, he's made the choice for me by saying that Anthony Volpe needs to be sent down.
Oh, we love it.
This experiment has clearly failed. We're talking about a guy with. Excuse me, I have the wrong report up.
Look at this. He can't even pull up his stats.
I'm trying to. Oh my gosh, this is a hot mess. I was trying to find his hits. He's got a 143 batting average here. That's not a major leaguer.
Okay.
Let's be real here. You've gotten 9 games, not putting anything together at the plate, looking overmatched. I mean, for Pete's sake, Brandon, he's got no will. If he had the will to win, he would have put that ball out of the park instead of hitting that triple yesterday.
Yeah. You know what, LJ? Ridiculous. Kike Hernandez hitting 107. That's not a major league player right there. How about that? What I'll say to LJ's thing about Anthony Volpe, no, he's fine. The defense and speed that he brings is already such an upgrade from what IKF was, and now IKF is just outfield only, which I don't hate, I guess. I mean, he's been fine in center field, believe it or not, the few times he's been out there. LJ, I've got one, and it also happens to be.
And real quick before we jump into that, I do just want to say, again, the defense has been great. That's yes. My biggest note on Volpe is, struggling at the plate as far as hits go, even though it's not been that bad. I mean, the eye will come in time in terms of the strikeouts, but he's still getting on base. He's still stealing bases and providing better defense than they've probably.
Since 2020 at shortstop, honestly.
2020 at shortstop.
Which was also Glaber. Or no, that might have been Didi, actually.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, outside of Didi, though, that's the best defense that they've gotten at the position in maybe 35 years.
Yeah. Sure.
No, now I've pissed him off. There we go.
I mean, with Anthony Volpe not playing a lot in AAA either, you kind of figured he'd start off slow hitting. LJ, my take also has to do with the Yankees. Franchi Cordero is just Matt Carpenter Jr., and he's going to be crazy for us. LJ, did you see what he did this weekend versus Baltimore? I mean, he absolutely destroyed their pitching staff, and I was wondering, I wanted to look up and see, just how many home runs he hit with the Red Sox the last 2 years. He had 9 over the last 2 years, and he's already got 2 for the Yankees in 4 games, and that he played about 132 games with Boston. He had 9. He's already got 2 in 4 games for the Yankees, and I mean, his game logs from this weekend. April 7th, he was 1 for 1 with a home run and 3 RBIs, and he got walked in the other at bat. And then Aaron Boone pinch hit IKF for him, but we don't need to talk about that. That was a pretty brutal game. And then yesterday, Franchi goes 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs. I mean, LJ, explain how he's not Matt Carpenter. And I'm saying he will be Matt Carpenter down to going 0 for 8 in the postseason with 8 Ks also. I think he is just going to be the reincarnation of Matt Carpenter.
He can't grow that mustache.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. That was the best part of the Matt Carpenter era.
It was. Him having
play. The mustache was just on point. It made me feel bad about myself.
Franchi Cordero. LJ just doesn't want to talk about him because he had to watch him play 84 games with the Red Sox last year and is just shaking because of that.
I just don't want to do it again. I can't bring myself. I'm trying to decide how heavy to lay on the sarcasm with my next pick.
Okay.
Do you want a lot of sarcasm or a little sarcasm?
I think a lot of sarcasm would
A lot of sarcasm. I think Javi Baez is ready for a breakout year.
We've been waiting, LJ. We've been waiting.
Is primed. I mean, we can ignore the negative .2 WAR. We can ignore the 121 batting average. We can ignore the negative 21 weighted runs created plus. He has a career low 19% strikeout rate.
Career low.
He's cut out the strikeouts.
Career low.
19% of his at-bats are coming in with strikeouts. 5% are walks right now. I think he might have turned the corner, finally. It's only a matter of time, Brandon.
LJ, the guy I'm going to talk about.
Wait, actually, before you talk about him, on more realistic analysis here, is he probably or are we feeling comfortable saying with that how bad we just said this Tigers team is, he's the worst part of it? Is that fair to say?
I'm going to say yes, just because of his age compared to what his ability is. But like the Miguel Cabrera contract is just, I mean, it's his last year. So like, I was
going to say he's earned every penny of it, and he's doing what you expect him to. I mean, even a guy, other guys
doesn't even start every day anymore. So
Eric Haas, a guy like that, you're getting kind of what you expect out of him. Baez is just tough to watch, especially at that contract.
Yeah, he just swings at everything. Another guy who, LJ, I think has turned the corner. You were saying sarcastically, Baez has turned the corner for the best. Has Josh Bell, since getting traded from the Nationals, turned the corner for the worst? He gets traded to San Diego, and, I didn't realize he did have over 200 plate appearances with the Padres. So certainly a meaningful sample. Put up a 74 OPS plus. Okay, new it was a new team. You had to face a lot more NL West pitching down the stretch. I think he did kind of come up big against the Mets in the playoffs. But so far, since signing with Cleveland this year, LJ, he is 3 for 35 with no home runs, no extra base hits, and a 0 OPS plus through the first 9 games. Is that bad, LJ? A 0?
I mean, it's not good.
It's not good, right? A 0 OPS plus. Has Josh Bell turned the corner for the worst?
I'm going to go ahead with no.
Okay.
I just, again, he's been consistent. Yes, 2020 was also, an up and down situation, but we see a lot of guys really struggle when moving teams. Obviously, the strikeout numbers are worrisome this year, but that easily, I mean, if we're going to criticize guys for strikeout numbers, then Julio Rodriguez is not going to be worth that contract, Like, just because we're overreacting here, that's exactly the same type of overreaction in my eyes as saying that about Julio Rodriguez just because he gets off to such awful starts when it comes to reading the ball each year. Give him a little time to get comfortable with Cleveland. Give him a little time to get comfortable with the season. This is the one I'll pump the brakes on.
Okay. It should be noted, while he doesn't have the worst weighted runs created plus in the league, he has the worst WAR according to Fangraphs because he's put up negatives on both the base paths and defensively. Still early though. That's why it's an overreaction because it's 9 or 10 games into the season. So
I'm gonna wrap up with our overreactions here with one more that I don't think actually is an overreaction, just to settle back into proper baseball content here. It's time for the Marcell Ozuna era, the Ozuna from the Braves era to end.
Ozuna from the Braves.
Here in the beginning of the season, played 7 games. He has gone deep twice, striking out a 32% clip, and I'm pretty sure those 2 home runs might be his only 2 hits with a .083 batting average.
They are his only 2 hits. Yeah.
I didn't see anything redeeming about this guy being around the team a while ago. Frankly, as soon as he used the team to try to get out of a traffic stop, I thought that's about the time you start cutting ties with him, especially when the fans did not take kindly to it. He's not producing for you. He really didn't produce last year. It feels like it's time, even if you have to eat the money. You've put yourself in a good position where you can afford to eat the money.
Yes, I do agree. However, I think the reason that they haven't done anything is because they are very short on outfielders right now, with Money Mike Harris hitting the IL. When it comes to your outfield, you're rolling out Acuna, of course, Eddie Rosario, and they're starting Sam Hilliard in center field. Off the bench, they have Kevin Pillar, who I was surprised to see make a major league roster. Eli White, maybe Eri Adrianza gets a little run out there. But they have Ozuna penciled in at DH, and I don't really see a better option unless you would put Pilar in center and Sam Hilliard is your DH or something like that. They're just very short on outfielders right now. Maybe once Money Mike comes back, our good buddy Alex Anthopoulos will make the move to eat the well, I didn't realize Ozuna has an $18 million contract for this year and next year. So it's 36 mil. It's a lot of money, LJ. And I know that they would obviously they could eat the money, but 36 mil, wouldn't you at least try to get some kind of production out of that than literally nothing?
Well, who would take on the contract? Realistically.
No one.
Exactly. And you're not getting production out of this. You are probably losing production by having him in this lineup. I also am going to push back on the lack of depth thing here because, again, you just named, you've got Hillard, you've got Pilar, White, Adrianza. All of these guys are capable of playing out in the outfield, and especially when you're looking at Ozuna, who really is only capable of playing left field, and a terrible left field at this point in his career.
How did he win a Gold Glove in 2017?
I can't explain it.
It makes no sense. His arm must have been just different.
I mean, we've seen some bad ones especially last year in terms of Gold Glovers, but this one, it makes my head hurt. But all of those guys are way more versatile out there than he is, especially when you consider there's no good reason you can't play Acuna in center. Acuna could slide over to center until Harris gets back, if need be. Point is, I think you have a lot more options than you're realizing out there.
Acuna, the one thing I'll say, and then we'll move on. Acuna is also not very good in the field either. We saw that highlighted in the playoffs in that series versus Philadelphia. So far this year, he's in the 36th percentile of outs above average. Last year, LJ, Acuna in the 6th percentile of outs above average, but in the 100th percentile of arm strength. So maybe that's why they do like him in a corner outfield spot, as your arm does become a little more important, I feel, of versus range when talking about a corner outfield spot. But yeah, that's certainly, I'm sure that they are talking about maybe doing something with Ozuna, because this is how many years going now with just bad production and awesome off the field stuff. Also, it's not the greatest.
No, and one thing I will say though is I don't necessarily think, especially for outfielders, those stats are always indicative, of his capability. First off, right now, he can take up space better than Ozuna can.
Sure, yeah.
No matter what. The other thing I think is important to note is Acuna hasn't always been this bad when it comes to the offensive numbers. I mean, granted, he was playing left field as a rookie back in 2018, but this season, a rather large sample size here, 111 games, came up right as soon as that contract got signed. 83rd percentile outs above average. I'm not saying he's the same player he was then, especially now having had injuries and things like that in between. But we've seen this time and time again. We saw it with Soto. We saw it with Harper. These guys, even before they moved to right field, where it's a little less plays at them, so less opportunities to get hurt and everything, we see these guys taking it easy a lot more than I think people realize, especially these stars, because how many games do you think Bryce Harper missed because he was doing stupid stuff out in left field? Quite a few in his early years with Washington. That's ultimately the lesson a lot of these guys have learned. So if he had to pick up the defense, I have a feeling Ronald Acuna could.